All right, so let's start. Let me just click on it. Okay, so my name is Cecilia Denton. I'm an industrial psychologist and owner of PTES Consulting. So we do psychometric assessment for a living. And you may ask me, but how does the stress and the emotional intelligence come from there? All of those things link together. We can see how people manage their stress. We can see how emotionally intelligent are people. We can see the difference between the IQ and the EQ. I've developed these presentations because I realized there's really a need for it. So in the past, I did this to get exposure, but now I'm doing this more because I feel like I want to make a contribution in people's lives, especially now that the stress levels are sky high in South Africa. I just want to make a contribution and help people and teach them. I don't even care about the exposure anymore. We need to help each other now because you can see that the stress level, well, we can see the stress levels is extremely high because we test people on a daily basis. So I have the actual data. So I also want to say thank you to the HR Talk. It always arranges these sessions for us and inviting their own client base. So thank you for that. Let me just see, there's another question. Yes, so you can have the recordings and the notes on these sessions. All right. So before we start with this, you will remember that the first session, so this is the third session today, but you will remember that the first session we spoke about Lisa Nowak. So for you, that the guys that's new today, you can go Google it. Google Lisa Nowak. It's everywhere on YouTube. It's an old incident, but it's a very good example of high IQ with low EQ. And it's just a good example. I don't want you to Google it and judge it necessarily. In this woman's defense, she was also diagnosed with severe depression, things like that. So, there's other factors also in play, but she's a very good example of this whole EQ thing, understanding your own emotions, understanding other people's emotions. So let's start with this step by step so that you once again can just touch base with what is it, and then we're going to do a nice exercise. I'm also going to give you some examples of where this stuff comes from, real life examples. We're going to talk about a dog, a child, and an accountant. So, but we'll get there. Right, so let's start about why we're talking about EQ. So noticing and understanding emotions in oneself is considered one of the 4 key ingredients of emotional intelligence. So according to this person with this very long name in 2015, mindfulness can help one develop emotional intelligence by increasing people's understanding of their own emotions. Since the practice of mindfulness involves noticing one's current thoughts and feelings without judgment or interference, one learns to observe different emotional states. So people always think, I'm not allowed to have the emotion. You cannot control the emotion. It's going to pop up. End of story. Accept it without judgment and interference, and observe your different emotional states. EQ is more about how do I respond to it. You don't want to suppress it. Please just get that thing right from the start. Don't think it shouldn't be there. It will never, ever go. It will always be there. You want to observe it, recognize it, and say, whoa, I'm feeling particularly agitated right now. What just happened? That's what you want to do. You don't want to suppress it or ignore it. Then in line with this notion, Fieldman, Hayes, Kumar, Greason, and Lauren Chow, 2007, found that mindfulness is positively correlated with increased clarity of feelings, attention to those feelings, and lower distraction. So if you're aware of these type of things, you can actually manage your relationship with your partner better. If you're experiencing incredible emotions, you don't know where it comes from, and you're taking it out on your partner, the relationship may not last. So this is just what you want to do. Just observe what it is that you're feeling and thinking. So just as intellectual intelligence is manifested through reading and learning, emotional intelligence can be fostered through learning mindfully attending the current emotional states. All right, so emotions and emotional intelligence. So we are emotional creatures. That is a good thing until our emotions get out of balance and lead us to say or do something we will regret later. So emotional intelligence helps us to make emotions work for you instead of against you. I'm actually pretty surprised that with the stress levels we have in South Africa at the moment, that we don't have an increase in road rage and things like that. I'm actually really surprised. I did hear about a very bad road rage incident yesterday. Friends were telling me about something that's happened, and it was crazy how the thing transpired just because the person didn't, that typical example where the person doesn't want to get out of the way of the fast lane into the slower lane. We all have that one. That small incident, it's not irritating you because the person doesn't want to move over. It got out of hand to the point where there could have been a death. Really, it was, I actually listened to the story and I thought, how can something get that out of control? So that's what we're talking about. You may experience something on the road that's irritating, frustrating. Don't let it get to that point. Observe it, say, okay, move on. Identify your own frustrations and just move on. Because that is just nasty. But once again, I'm quite surprised that we don't have more incidents happening. I don't know if it's maybe coming. I actually don't know if it's still going to happen. But the frustration and pessimism in South Africa at the moment is sky high. So emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, understand, and manage emotions. It is like a superpower because it can make you better at everything you do. But like any ability, it needs to be trained and sharpened. So train it. You're not going to get fit by walking around the block once. Train it, practice it, become aware of what does it mean? What does it mean for me? So IQ or EQ. So what is EQ? EQ is a shorthand for emotional intelligence. Think of it like IQ, but for emotions. When you hear that someone has a high EQ, that usually means that they're skilled at leading a team, collaborating with others, managing difficult situations, or all of the above. So how do I know if I am emotionally intelligent? So it is on a spectrum. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. You're not just there or there. Once again, EQ is to help you remove you from that thinking where I'm either stupid or intelligent. It's black or white. It's gray. Sometimes you can be better at it than other days, but it's on a spectrum. So the key is to learn how to leverage your strengths and mitigate your weaknesses. So when you're emotionally intelligent, you understand yourself at a deeper level. That means recognizing both your strengths and your weaknesses. You're confident about what you contribute and what you need from others. You're also in tune with your emotions. So on the right-hand side here, you can see there's also a that I actually took from an actual emotional intelligence test that we have in South Africa that's available, where you can test yourself and see how you fall on that spectrum. So this particular assessment looks at self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal skills, decision-making, stress management. So it's got a whole bunch of stuff, but you get different types of approaches as well. It's not just one thing and that's it. So want to build your emotional intelligence? So let's answer this question. So when and how do my emotions work against me? So for example, let your temper cause you to say something or do something that you regret. Or maybe you were in an extremely joyful mood and you agreed to do much. Now that's me. That's what I do. I get all happy and cheery and we can somewhat do everything. I do that a lot. So don't think it's only into the one direction. It also goes into this direction. It's also sometimes unrealistic promises. It's not being very realistic in terms of what you can and can't do. I do that quite often. So I know I know that one. So I also think about how you're affected by unpleasant emotions like fear or anxiety. These emotions aren't all negative. They can help you keep out of danger. So however, they can also prevent you from making a decision, taking action, or trying out new experiences. So it could also, if you ignore what's causing you anxiety or fear at the moment, it can also hold you back. But the thing is, you just want to start by becoming aware of what you are thinking, and then the effect that it has on your physical body, your mind, and all of that. So your emotions can also work against you when it comes to relationships with others. So, for example, you may lack empathy. don't take that the wrong way. Most of us lack empathy at times, and the empathy muscle is the one that takes hard work to strengthen. So for now, it is important to know that an inability to understand the feelings and motivations of others can cause you to become callous to their problems. This can be extremely damaging to your relationships at work or at home. So on the other hand, you may be suffering because you show too much empathy. So in other words, you relate too closely to the feelings of others, leaving you emotionally exhausted. In essence, you overwork that muscle. So you want to have a balance. Like everything, there must be a balance. What I'm also picking up in South Africa at the moment, people are trying to self-preserve. So it is almost like people are definitely angry. They are frustrated, they are irritated. I think people may also be sort of at a loss. So I don't want to judge it actually too harshly. I don't want to say, well, develop your empathy. We need empathy right now. You don't want to judge that feeling at the moment because it's totally understandable. Load shedding in itself is very, very frustrating and debilitating. So just acknowledge how you're feeling about it. Acknowledge what is going on. Acknowledge when people are taking out their anger in certain areas. That's all you want to do for now. I don't want you to change anything and say, well, we need to be more supportive. And it's not that easy. You first need to see why are you feeling the way that you are and what is happening. Just acknowledging everything that's going on. Then, when and how do my emotions work against me? So if you struggle to answer the question, when and how do my emotions work against me? Try asking for help. Find someone that you trust, who knows you well, and ask them to share instances where they've seen your emotions get the best of you. So brace yourself, though. You may be surprised with the answer you get, but don't worry. Remember that emotional intelligence is a spectrum, meaning that like everyone, you have emotional strengths and weaknesses. Learning to ask yourself and others this key question puts you on a path to developing self-awareness, which is the first step in building emotional intelligence. So once you've reached a certain level of self-awareness, you can start working on a plan to leverage your strengths and to mitigate those weaknesses. That is what I call making emotions work for you instead of against you. The last point there, and the fact that you are reading or listening to this right now is a sign that you're already ahead of a lot of people. It means that you want to know what it's all about and you want to develop it. So that's a good thing for you at this stage. Okay. Research shows that nurses who work with terminally ill patients run a high risk of developing compassion fatigue, a condition of physical and emotional depletion associated with caring of patients in a significant emotional pain and physical distress. So it's easy for caregivers like these to focus on the needs of their patients and the expense of their own, putting them on a path to burnout. So technology has also created problems for empathic persons. So for example, one series of studies actually revealed that people were experiencing high levels of stress due to the use of social media. This is really an important point because social media is a big thing at the moment. So the problem, as they become aware of friends' various struggles, like the loss of a loved one or a stay in the hospital, their own stress levels increase. The problem was that social media allowed these persons to learn about those stressful events more quickly and in close succession to each other. While the little sips of information sent through social media may not seem like a much, they can add up to a big gulp. So little bits of information everywhere. Awareness of undesirable events in other people's lives generate a cost in terms of increasing psychological stress, and with it, higher risk for the physical, psychological problems that often accompany stress. So Professor Jordan Peterson is another person that you can research and follow. He also says that watching too much news is also a repeat of the same thing. So you get bombarded with the same thing. You heard it yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. So also limit your exposure to social media, but also to news sources. You hear the same thing every day. Actually, this could be a good practice exercise for you. How many times in the news do you hear the same message? The only impact is your stress levels are building. You are building. You heard it now 50 million times already. So limit your exposure. Do a little bit of a clean out sometimes. To keep up to date would be a good thing to just know what's going on. But be very careful of getting too much news, because you're hearing the same thing. The problem just is it's building up in you, and there's actually nothing that you can do about it. You already know it. So just look after yourself when it comes to this. So what can you do? At work, if your job involves being around others much of the day, you may quickly find yourself emotionally exhausted. To combat this, schedule buffer time between meetings or time with others. So take shorter, more frequent breaks that allow you to recharge your emotional battery. So what I always say to people, what you want to start off with, to practice this, take a 15 minutes tea break, or even if it's a lunch break, it doesn't matter. Practice just for that 15 minutes to sit with your cup of coffee or tea, just you alone without the phone and possibly people around you. If someone comes and sits with you, it doesn't matter. I mean, you don't have to chase people away, but try to sit and be mindful for that 15 minutes. Smell your coffee or your tea, taste it, really experience it. Just switch off for that 15 minutes. You're going to see how difficult it actually is to do that at first, because you are so tempted to pick up the phone and check things. You need to remove yourself from the electronics sometime periods during the day. You will see how difficult it actually is. So it's not an easy exercise that I'm giving you. Then at home, learn to set boundaries and to communicate those boundaries. If you feel yourself reaching a limit, let your spouse or family members know that you need some time to yourself. Tell them that you're looking forward to spending time together, but that mentally and emotionally, you'll be in a much better place after your alone time. The second thing that you can do after the 15 minutes coffee and tea break, try to get to a point in your life where you can have an hour a day for yourself for exercise or meditation. Even if it's very difficult because you don't have that time, everyone is under pressure, you just don't have it. Try to get to that point where you exercise, or it's literally an hour for you. When I do exercise or practice stuff, I don't do it to look good or lose weight or whatever. I do that because it's my time. I see it as my hour. This is for me. It's just me and my yoga mat, or me in the Pilates class, or me taking a walk / run, whatever, or me and my breathing exercises and my meditation. Really try to practice to get to that point. At play, recreation should be a way to refresh and recover. But if you're not careful, it could end up doing the opposite. If you find yourself especially exhausted after spending time with others, consider changing things up. If a certain friend is draining your energy, it doesn't mean you have to completely avoid them. You may simply need longer breaks between getting together. Your empathy muscle can be a major source of strength, but only if you don't work to the point of breakdown. So work to understand your emotional needs, take action and support those needs. If you do, empathy will be working for you instead of against you. So someone actually made a good point in the last session. Someone said, yeah, but what if you are spending time with someone that's draining too much and you're trying to help and it's not working? I think that was the sort of question. And I said, first, you need to check where are you right now? How are you feeling? What is your energy look? What does that look like? First, have yourself be okay before you extend a hand and start helping other people. If it's in your capacity to go pop in there, take a pot of soup, or just lend some emotional, a shoulder or whatever, first check where you are before you go do that. And then also boundaries would be very important. Don't spend too much time. If you can see, listen, I'm trying to help, it's not working, but because the person is staying negative or whatever, you've done your part, then you can go. But also you don't want to help and assist so much that you are empty and depleting what you have. You first need to see, how okay am I? You may need to stabilize first, actually, and then you can start helping. The helping part is nice for people, because it does get you a sense of satisfaction as well, because you are also helping. But you first have to be okay. Your household, people in your family first need to be okay before you want to help other people. So let's look at the Alsatian. I told you we're going to talk about a dog. This is just to get you to understand where do these things come from. where would it where does it originate, and what does it mean? So this is an example. So when this is not about me, you'll see I talk about I. This is actually the writer, so it's not me. I don't have a problem with Alsatians. This was the story as I got it off my research. So when I was quite small, my mother let me play outside in the street. When I was at home, we didn't have cars in those days. It was long ago. We actually lived in a small hill of some 50 houses and enjoyed walking right up to the top and sailing down on my scooter. The trouble was, in the house at the top of the road, we lived in an Alsatian dog, and occasionally it would get out and prowl the streets. I was terrified of it. Unfortunately, at the bottom of the road, we also lived in Alsatian. So it too occasionally got out. And I didn't like that one either. So there was an Alsatian at the top and the bottom. One day I was playing with my brothers. The dog at the top of the road was out, which I discovered only when I got close to the house. To my acute alarm, it ran towards me. In my terror, I raced down the hill, no doubt screaming, the dog in hot pursuit. My mother came out of the house 3/4 of the way down the hill, wondering what the fuss was all about. My mother said, "It's only a puppy. I expected it was trying to play with you." So an insight into canine psychology that I felt was not particularly helpful at that moment. So from the emotionally charged experience, I developed an emotionally charged memory, no doubt unintentionally exaggerating the size of the dog, the loudness of its barking, and so on. And from that day came quite a phobia of dogs, especially Alsatians. I can remember when I was growing up delivering newspapers with my brothers. We were very, very young, and one of these pit bull dogs chased me, and I felt its breath on my calves. I was running so fast. Luckily, I don't have an issue. I'm not going to particularly now go play with these pit bulls, but anyway, this is just to tell you where some of these memories and things comes from. So can you see it's not like you now have to go and fix all of this and sort out your problem with dogs, whatever. It's just to show you where emotionally charged memories comes from. Once you recognize it, where it comes from, you can actually say, oh, that's actually why I'm scared of dogs. It will actually sort of calm down your feelings and emotions about dogs. If you just know where it comes from, you don't want to chase it away or not have it or ignore it, or you just want to know that's where it comes from, because that was your experience. All right, let's talk about the accountant. I told you there's going to be another story about an accountant. So this was the same person telling the story. I'm a business consultant and met with an accountant. The conversation turned to the concept of giver's gain, the idea that if you help others, they will be highly predisposed to help you in return, not out of a sense of obligation, though there will certainly be some of that, but rather because by offering and delivering help first, you show that you are an inherently decent person and others like to work with such people. So at which point the accountant pulled open one of his desk drawers and retrieved an A4 ledger, which he opened. So he showed me the two facing papers on which he recorded the value of the work that he has received from others and the value of work he gave to others. So his intention was to ensure that he did not pass to others work of a higher value than he received. So, however, this wonderful true story demonstrates the application of the scarcity model big time, a belief that there is not enough to go around, not enough work, not enough money, ultimately not enough love, and I'll be damned if I didn't get my fair share. So can you see it's very small thinking, like almost stressed thinking. So in thinking he would be out of pocket by passing work of a greater value than he received, he completely failed to recognize the substantial amount of work he would likely have got from people who saw someone with a more giving nature. That is, can you see almost the stinginess, I'm so worried I'm going to give more than I'm going to get. That just relaxing thinking of, you know what, I do my part, and I work and I help. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but to manage it this tightly is so stressful. It's so monitored. It's so controlled. So I hope you get what it is that this example is also giving you. I do think people are feeling in South Africa maybe a little bit more self-preserving, maybe more selfish, maybe because of the angriness or whatever. But I want you to just relax and think about it. I am someone who believes in I have a more spiritual approach, and I do believe in karma and things like that. I think if you do well, maybe one day I don't do things to get things, but I do believe in that whole, if you just let it go, relax, just relax. Sometimes you give some, lose some, whatever, relax. But let's go to the last example, the parent and the child. So here is an example of how a parent understanding, here is a real example of how a parent understanding about thinking, feeling, and knowing and sensing made a real difference to an unhappy child's life. So one of my clients reported a difficulty being a parent to his middle child. So the child was clearly unhappy. The father was unhappy because he did not know what to do differently to make this child happy. So a forlorn hope, anyway, since we cannot make anybody be anything. He was fine with the other two children, but as a caring parent recognized that his middle child felt excluded. So after talking for 20 minutes about how he and the other two children communicated, the client realized that he and two of his children were all thinkers, highly rational, and they naturally communicated and played through together spontaneously and with ease, but the middle child was a feeler and was crying out to be accepted as such. So a lot of communication is in words, so that was addressed. So now, how are you feeling is not a feeling question, it's a thinking question. So it's designed to elicit data, information, just as much as the question, will that box go through that door is. So, but once again, once asked, the father could develop conversations which talked about both the child's feelings and his. So he changed his wording to, what do you feel like doing tomorrow? He might ask as he tucked his child into bed. So, and there are tactile kinesthetic ways of communicating too, and the father made sure that he used those far more than he did with his other two children. So it is a way of just becoming aware of how children respond to you, because there's definitely a very big differences between children. I've seen in families with different siblings, sometimes they're significantly different from each other. So your one approach may not work with the other one. So almost immediately that he started to make a real effort to relate to the child the way that the child needed him to, the relationship was transformed. So don't be harsh or judgmental to yourself if you think you're doing things wrong or something right, but you don't know how to. But just becoming aware of what you are thinking, what you are picking up, what are you realizing about, and what are you observing about what is going on here. Don't think you need to be perfect and correct and just know it. That's nonsense. You don't know. You're also here observing, finding out, asking questions. That's what I want you to do. Don't judge yourself. Don't think it needs to be perfect. I spoke with someone the other day. This mother said they're moving to Cape Town. The school needs to be perfect the first time around. It has to be perfect. It has to be, when this child goes to that school and that one to that, it has to be perfect. I could actually feel the panic and the stress. How are you supposed to be that perfect and just know what's going to be right? My God, it's such an expectation on yourself. And you so badly want the child to just fit in immediately perfect. You can make changes. Just breathe, let it go. Be aware maybe of your panic, your stress, your concern, your responsibility. That's fine. Just recognize it all. But to have that expectation, I think this person mentioned it probably 10 times in such a short period of time. It has to be perfect. You understand why it has to be perfect. And I thought, wow, that's very big pressure on someone. How the hell are you supposed to know as a parent what's just perfect? Just go with it. Figure it out as you go. Relax and take a breath and just go with it. So I want to keep an eye on the time so that I don't waste too much time on certain points. Observe yourself. Observe your children. Make changes as you need to go. But my goodness, to be perfect, I don't know. That's a very big ask of yourself and anyone. Right, now we're going to do the exercise like I asked you. So now you're going to take a deep breath. You're going to relax. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to forget about anything and everything. You're going to just listen to me. I'm going to go through this exercise nice and slowly. This is the fun part. You've now done all the logical thinking with your logical brain. Now I want you to be mindful. I want you to think all about yourself. You can be a little bit selfish now for the next few minutes. So totally relax. So firstly, find a comfortable seated position, either sitting on a cushion on the floor or on a chair where you're sitting. Allow your spine to be straight and long, and let your shoulders drop. And the reason why you want to have your spine straight, whether you now know about meditation or not, but doesn't matter, there's energy constantly flowing up and down. So you want to, don't be stressed up straight, as straight as you can be. If one meditates and you start bending, that's more than fine. Don't think that it has to be perfect. So sitting nicely up straight, drop your shoulders, gently close your eyes, and if you prefer, simply gaze down in front of you with a soft focus if you want to do that. Whatever it is that you want to do now. Then as you sit there, notice where your body is making contact. Feel your feet touching the floor. Perhaps your back on the ground, your sit bones on the chair. Just feel how you're sitting there on your chair. How you are sitting. Feel your weight on the chair or on the pillow or on the ground. Feel it. Feel how you are sitting. Notice your breath. So for the next 5 or so breaths, follow each inhale and exhale, feeling or imagining the breath flowing in and out of the body. We do this every day. Every few seconds we go in and out, but we take it for granted. The thing is just there. We just take it for granted. The breath is constantly with you. It's always there. So as you have your eyes closed, your shoulders nice, relaxed, feeling how you're sitting there, be aware of the breath going in and out. Feel how it's going in and out, like waves at the beach. It goes back and forth, back and forth. It is just how we are on this planet, and we're taking it for granted. We don't even see it or feel it. We're just taking it for granted. So now shift your awareness from your breath to your body and begin to scan through the body slowly from head to toe, observing any feelings or emotions that are present. So just sit there as you're breathing in or out. Scan through your body, scan up and down. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? What is the body feeling like? Are there any feelings or emotions present? You might detect numerous feelings or emotions throughout the body. For the purpose of this exercise, choose one feeling or emotion that you want to focus on right now. So just think of something that you feel and just choose one. What are you feeling right now? So as you're doing the scanning, relax. What are you feeling right now? So notice where in your body this emotion is located. So which part of the body is holding this feeling? So as you scan up and down, just observe. Don't think. Just feel. Don't think. Don't try to think of something. Just feel. Just let the feeling go. So where are you feeling this emotion? Then I want you to think about how big or small is this feeling? So how big or small is this feeling that you're feeling? So as you're breathing in and out slowly and calmly, how big or small is this feeling that you're feeling? So this feeling that you're feeling, where is its edges? Are the edges sharp? Are the edges soft? Where is this? Where is it sharp? Is it soft? How is this feeling? How is this feeling to you? And then I want you to think about, does the feeling have a color? So the feeling that you're feeling, does it have a color? And if so, is the color changing or is it remaining the same? So does that feeling that you're feeling, does it have a color? Is the color changing, or is it staying the same? So think about your feeling. Is your feeling, does it have a color, or does it remain the same? Is the feeling that you are feeling, is it light or is it heavy? Is your feeling, is it light? Is it heavy? Explore it. Just observe it. Now, is that feeling moving or is it still? Is the feeling that you're feeling, is it moving or is it still? Just breathe out, slowly and relaxing. Breathe in and out. Slow, long breaths. Breathe in and out. Is your feeling moving or is it still? Is the feeling hard or is it soft? Is it rough or is it smooth? So if you could touch this feeling with your hand, what would the texture be like? So if you had to feel your feeling with your hand, what would the texture be like? Just breathe in and out and become aware of your feelings. So now if you were to give a name to this feeling or an emotion, what would it be? Can you identify it? Can you give it a label? So if you had to give a name to your feeling or emotion, what would it be? Can you identify it? Can you give it a label? If a name for this feeling doesn't come to mind, that's okay. So be kind to yourself and continue to observe the feeling in the body with curiosity and without judgment until the nature of this emotion becomes clearer to you. So that's an important point, without judgment. Don't wonder, but why is it there? Is there nothing there? What should it be? Don't judge it. Don't judge it. Continue to get to know this emotion for another 5 minutes or so. So give yourself some time. Just sit there. Breathe in and out. Just sit there. Experience yourself. Observe yourself. Don't try to think too much. Observe it, feeling. Scan your whole body. What are you feeling? Is it loose things? Is it one thing? Whatever. Is it confusing to you? Is it quite straightforward to you? So when you feel that you have reached a level of comfort with an understanding of this feeling, you can gently open your eyes and bring yourself back to your attention back to this room. But don't rush. Don't rush. Enjoy the moment. We don't have moments like this every day. We rush from point 1 to point 2. Just enjoy it for a few seconds. I'm not going to rush you. I'm going to give you another few minutes. Sit with yourself. Be aware of how you're breathing in and out. And I want you to become aware of what did you just experience. And I would actually like you to share. Did you experience something? Did you feel I didn't pick up anything? Did you pick up something? So if you feel okay and if you feel ready, you don't have to open your eyes yet. But if there's anyone who would want to share, what is it that you experienced? Was it something that you could easily get into? Is it something that was weird? You couldn't really pinpoint? Did you have colors? Did you see something? Did you feel something? What did you observe for you? How was the experience for you? So if you want to keep your eyes closed, you're welcome. If there's anyone who wants to share, please share in the chat box. How did this feeling How did this exercise feel to you? So anyone who wants to share this experience, like what did you feel? Oh, someone says, yeah, my chat is disabled, but you can put it in the Q&A. If the chat box doesn't work, please put it in the Q&A box. So someone says, yeah, a head rush. I would like to know at which point did you feel the head rush? Was it after the whole entire process, or did it come immediately? How long did it take to come to you? Did it start when you close your eyes? I'd actually like to know, what was your experience? Okay, just you felt the head rush just before we finished. Mm. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to rationalize it. You don't have to think about it too much. What you want to do with this information is become aware of how you feel and just experience it without you. This is the big thing that people misunderstand. We think we need to figure it all out. It has to be black or white, analytical thinking. That's the IQ. This is the EQ. So don't try to always put it in logical answers like black and white. It has to be logical. That's the IQ. The EQ is experiencing and observing. I felt lightheaded. I felt confused. That's exactly it. If you don't even felt anything, that is the answer. I didn't feel anything. I didn't understand it. That is the feeling. So someone else said here, it made me aware that even we have emotions and feelings happening, even when we are busy and not always aware of them, they are there. That's the thing. What happens during the day, we totally ignore that part. We're so quick with answers, answering an email, jumping, going, moving. In between all of that, what we do is we answer WhatsApps, emails, messages. Have you seen how you are glued to that phone? It is constant energy that's going outwards, 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 outwards. We are so programmed that we don't even realize the energy that's going outwards. So when I told you to sit up straight with the spine straight, whether you now believe in the energies or not, it doesn't matter. You will find that whenever you meditate, there is a change in your mind and your head, which means that there are energies flowing in the body. And the energies is the thing that you need to learn to preserve. And that's where we are so neglectful with our energies and what we are feeling and what we're observing. We're really neglected in a big way. You're neglecting it more than you're thinking. So someone says, yeah, I felt the colors changing. Yes. I feel happy with a warm yellow light which had soft edges and was moving through my body. Brilliant. Brilliant. Started darker, then became lighter in color, possibly because you recognized it. If it changes, don't change. Don't think there's no right or wrong. Your body and your makeup is what it is. There's no such thing as this is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to feel, even if nasty thoughts pops up in your head, that's it's supposed to bring it to the forefront. If good things comes to the forefront of your head, it's supposed to be like that for you. My feeling was apprehension. It was like a shooting star, dark blue with rough diamonds in my heart. I felt heavy, but as you talked us through and I looked at it, it became easier to deal with because you recognize it, because you just recognized it. How effortless is that? It's not work. Work is what you do during the day. Work is what you do when you answer the WhatsApps, the constant emails, when the phone beeps, we go there. It's exhausting. We don't even realize it. You take the phone with you when you're going to have your cup of tea. Give yourself a break, just stop it for a while. It will become easier to deal with because you're recognizing it. Can you see? This is where the whole answer lies. When you drive into traffic and you can just feel the irritation, the frustration coming, if you can just recognize it and say, it's just because this is an unpleasant experience now. No one wants this. No one wants traffic and wants to be late. But if you can just realize it and just say, take a deep breath, this is just how it is. I'm going to get home in any way. It's going to be 10 minutes later. Often it's 10 minutes later. It's not even an hour like we think, because the logical brain is telling us it is going to be a disaster. If you recognize your feelings and you can say, this happens every now and again. It's not always, and I'm going to get there in any way. You'll realize it's not going to be that long. I felt relaxed, but before finishing off, I felt like a pain on my left side. My color was white. Very interesting. Very interesting. When we started the session this morning, I had a very funny, dark pain in my right-hand side, right on my kidney. And I thought, oh, this is either kidney cancer or it's I don't know, it's just irritation. You start off thinking like that. And then we did the exercise. Now I actually thought of my own aching in my aching in my kidney, which is probably just a muscle. It actually, I gave it a color and I gave it even when I was talking you through it, and it's now gone. I don't know if that was because I thought about it, I don't know. But so you also say you had a pain in your left side, your color was white. Then also, I was a little scared to let any emotions in, afraid it would overwhelm me. That is why people dodge it. You will be okay with your emotions if you let it in, recognize it, cry with it, just be with it. You'll see it's going to get better and better and better, but it's that crying, that feeling so overwhelmed and seeing the stuff. That's what you're trying to dodge. That's why the phone is always with us. It's always distracting you. It's distracting. Then you don't have to think about yourself and what your experience is thinking. I think it's time that you sit with yourself, be with yourself, give a little bit of attention to yourself. Let the thinking brain just go for 5 minutes and just be here with you. Be here with you. Try to recognize what am I going through? What are my children going through? What are they trying to tell me? What is my partner trying to tell me? What is behind the words? What do I experience when they say something to me? What emotions are being elicited? So remember, what it is not is to always sit and talk about feelings and not getting to work, because that's not what emotional intelligence is. Don't think that you all have to sit and cry and hug together constantly. That is not the same thing. I love this last comment. I was a little scared to let the emotions in, afraid it would overwhelm me. Let it in. Start recognizing it. You will start to learn, where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? I'm okay with this because I'm recognizing it. I saw it yesterday. Just give it a place in your brain, or a place. Brain is not the right word. Give it a place in your heart. Let's put it that way. Okay, so there's misconceptions. I really need to touch on the misconceptions here with you, because this is very, very important. Please add more questions if you have it there. Yes. Okay. So the misconception about emotional intelligence is that high IQ is the same as high EQ. It's two separate things. It actually has to work well together in order to be successful, because the IQ is the thinking brain, the EQ is understanding and observing feelings and emotions. It's not condoning behavior. This is what you would have seen with our exercise we did with Lisa Nowak, where we could see that her behavior was quite strange. She didn't understand her own emotions and those of others. We're not condoning what she did, because that exercise could have ended up very, very badly. People could have gotten hurt or killed. So we're not condoning that. We're understanding it. We're trying to understand what's going on there. So the two has to go well together. If you tell someone, this is how I want you to work, this is how what I want you to do at work, and I want to manage the person as such, you can do it. At the same time, you can try to understand, what do they need to be able to do the work? Put yourself in their shoes. What do they have? What is it that they don't have from you to be able to do work? So all the softer things. But if I say softer things, it sounds like you have to be soft with people. That's not what you want to do. You want to just listen without judgment and without interference. So that you just want to be aware. The second misconception is that there are gender and generational biases in EQ. No, I've seen EQs all over the place. Men and women, I've seen a mixture of all of it, where you get just as many women as you get men that are high in IQ. If you just look at Lisa Nowak, incredibly intelligent, but so out of touch with her own emotions, it was almost scary. And then generational biases, yes, also you can get younger or older people having high or low EQ. It's everywhere. We just in our brains think that women, mothers, females will be softer. No, it's not. We've got the same capacity for IQ and EQ. Misconception number 3, being charismatic means you've got high EQ. No, not really. You can be totally manipulative, actually, and not really truly care about the outcome. Also, what is very important to know, that your con men, people that's manipulative and sly, have a low IQ. As a matter of fact, they've got a high EQ. So because con men actually needs to know, where's your soft spots, that I can dig into that so that I can get stuff out of you. So be careful of the charismatic type of person. The charismatic type of person may have a high EQ or a low EQ. It's really, don't be very aware of that as well. We get sweet talked quite easily, but charismatic does not necessarily mean high or low EQ. Then improving EQ is all about getting in touch with your feelings. It's all about understanding yourself, others. Sorry, I just want to get this box is in my way. Let me just make this smaller. I can't read my own sentence. So improving EQ is all about getting in touch with your feelings. It's all about understanding yourself, others, relationships, and social awareness. So it's understanding yourself. It's not just being in touch with your feelings. This is what people think. They think it's like it's just all cushy and cozy, and we all just sit and talk about. It's not that. This is why people get irritated with this topic. It is about understanding yourself, how you react towards certain things, how other people are reacting. So you will have more patience on the road if you drive. If you know people are highly impatient and irritated and frustrated with this load shedding, therefore all the traffic lights are out, therefore people are so impatient. If you can already understand that, you can sometimes diffuse a high tension situation. There's already a benefit right there. So that's what you want to become aware of. Emotional people have high EQ. That is not true, because I've seen emotional people really not understanding emotion intelligence at all. They just out of control emotionally. That's not high EQ. No emotional control is not high EQ. they actually understand themselves even less. So high EQ is really, it's understanding yourself and others and how it impacts relationships. Only really unhealthy, toxic people need to develop the EQ. No, normal people, normal functioning, good citizens may not always understand themselves and others. So it's just something that anyone can develop. There is a low return on investment on EQ training. That is something that people think that they need to do rather technical training on technical aspects. But that high EQ, if you have training where people can learn how to deal with clients, understand difficult clients, understand the frustrations of clients, put yourself in their shoes, because we all do the same when we get frustrated. If you train your people in that regard, not just on the technical aspects, of course you will have a high return on investment. I think this was our last slide today. So if there's anything else someone wants to share and question about EQ, please let me know. I do want to share this trick with you that you can practice if you want to become more aware of what your body is going through. You may not like this exercise, but it will definitely work. So when I do my meditation stuff, I sometimes go on these Art of Living courses. Some of you may know about them. We do silence courses where you just meditate and you do the silence stuff, but then you wean yourself off caffeine because you don't want any stimulants in your body. So for periods of time, I'm very clean of caffeine. And then I will start drinking my caffeine again because I'm very addicted to it. But I have those periods. I'm in it and then I'm out of it. If you really want to practice, become aware of how your body changes when you are clean of caffeine and you drink that first cup of caffeine again, and you become aware of your increased amount of thoughts, faster talking, feeling almost happy and elated, feeling more energy. And then when you clean again of caffeine, you'll feel overall more calmer. If I don't take caffeine, I can even deal with problems easier because I'm not wound up. So I'm talking as an addicted caffeine person. Oh, I just love it. But I can feel that the caffeine actually it's got a superficial feeling that you've got more energy, but it's actually fake. So this would be a nice exercise for yourself, is to clean yourself off of caffeine for a few days or weeks and then drink it again. Then don't drink it again. Then drink it again. That is such a good exercise to become aware of the physical change in your body and your mind. If you want to start becoming aware of the effects that things have on your body. All right, so this was our part 3 of the emotional intelligence. Thank you so much for everyone that participated. Here is my email address. If you want to send me an email and ask for the notes, you are welcome to contact the HR Talk for it. There is parts 1, 2, and 3 that you may find very useful. Okay, so I see there are people that attended the 3 sessions. I really hope you got something good out of it for you. Remember, you will not get better if you don't do something different today than you did yesterday. If you don't make any form of change, it's going to stay the same. So do yourself a favor, explore, participate, do things, and learn more about this. See what you can learn from other people. See what you can learn from yourself. Spend sufficient time with yourself, just alone, you, with your cup of coffee or tea, and you'll see you'll get better at this. So keep an eye on the newsletters from HR Talk or even from myself. If there's more sessions later in the year, we may do stress management again. There's going to be other sessions in the year as well. So keep an eye on those newsletters and do this also again. Do it again and again and learn so that you can get better. So if no one has got any other questions and we've finished for today, I really hope to see you the next time. Yes, teach other people as well. Pass it on. Teach other people. We can only get better at this. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you as well.